The time winds down. They did it. It's over. The game is over. The series is over. The wait is over.
Yeah, drinking dope, turn me to a superhero. Yeah, hit that pill, turn me to a superhero.
Wildcard weekend coming to a close. We're moving on to the divisional round. We had a very chaotic weekend. There's a lot that needs to be discussed regarding current and what's going to be past. There was a lot that I needed to get off of my plate that I took over of these pages upon pages of notes that I've taken. So is KP. I want to start off with the Seattle Seahawks game. KP Seahawks, they took on the 49ers and Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, but is he Mr. Irrelevant now? I don't know. We got one more game, and I think that'll decide whether or not he has established himself as non-Mr. Irrelevant, in my opinion. But the final score of that game was 41-23. So before halftime, it was Seattle 17-16. It was a very... I would say a very shocking game because I was very scared. I chose the 49ers to win this game. KP Seahawks was winning, and I was actually scared that the 49ers were going to get upset the first round by the Seahawks, a team that was really not supposed to make the playoffs. They were supposed to be a 4-5 win team. It was a rebuild year, but Pete Carroll, I think, one of the best coaches in the league, did his thing, and, they just, with some luck, they made it. Geno Smith, I thought he did pretty well the first half. He did what he needed to do. Kenneth Walker the same. I think DK Metcalf, I think he had a hell of a game considering they lost. 10 catches for 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. He burnt Charvarius Ward, which I think cleared up a little bit of the hate on Instagram and Twitter. For a touchdown. But then, man, I don't know. I guess the 49ers must have just lost it at halftime. Purdy just went on a montage, passed for 332, 3 touchdowns. He was 18 for 30, though, so I wouldn't say he had a crazy, crazy game, but he did have a pretty good game. McCaffrey, the dude's he's just raw. 15 carries, 119 yards. And then you got Debo being Debo, 6 receptions for 133 yards, 1 touchdown. The only thing I'll say about the 49ers is I think they've established themselves as a top Super Bowl threat. The question is, are they going to keep going? Is Mr. Irrelevant, is he going to keep going? I think he can. I think he's, with the 8 quarterbacks that were available, I think he is he's arguably a top 8 quarterback. I'd put him at probably 7 out of the 8 currently. But is he going to be able to keep this surprise going? I don't know. But I just want to know, is the 49ers defense going to make some stops? We don't know. We'll get to see against Dak. But KP, what do you think of this game? I know it was a little tough because I know you had your hopes up a little bit when it was a game.
Well, I didn't have my hopes up that too much because we were playing against the best quarterback in the league ever since he kind of stepped in. He has been, and the stats have shown it and backed it up. I think that was their 10th or 11th game they've won in a row since.
It was 11th, yeah, 11th.
I think he's 7-0 straight on, and he's been the best quarterback since he's kind of stepped into the NFL. He doesn't turn the ball over hardly. He manages the clock and everything. He had a QBR of 89.5. His completion rate was 60. So not like crazy completion percentage numbers, but I don't think he'll ever be a completion percentage guy. He's going to hit his checkdowns and he'll hit a couple big shots here and there, but nothing like he can chuck it down all the time. 3 touchdowns, had a rushing touchdown, so he had 4. He has every single weapon he needs there. I think a lot of quarterbacks can go there and produce well. But since he is, he's just a really good quarterback in that retrospect. So, when I first started seeing him playing, he's got Debo, he's got McCaffrey, he's got Ayuk, he's got Kittle. Yes, he does have all those weapons, but he has a good rapport with them, and it's hard. I don't know. Maybe it's not hard, but I think he's proven that he's their guy. They'll probably get rid of Trey Lance, and they'll probably keep Jimmy G as the backup. But Seattle didn't play bad the first half. Gino doesn't really turn the ball over a whole lot either. That's what kept him in it. Gino gets above his 70% completion rate like he always does. I think he led the league in completion percentage. He went 25 or 35 for 253. Gino never gets a whole lot of big yard games when it comes to throwing big stats or anything like that. So I kind of knew going into that he wasn't going to have big stats. He had a QBR of 65.8. I don't know. They just didn't get anything going in the second half, really, because the Niners have the best defense in the league. So, I don't know. They played decent, but second half, the Niners were the better team. So, that's just my
KP, your Seahawks, I think they had a hell of a year. I mean, props to them. I mean, considering they had to deal with a rebuild year and they still made the playoffs, there's not a lot of teams that really are going to do that. And I think with the right coaching, stuff like that happens. So I'd hang your head up on that one. There's nothing really to complain about there. I mean, besides the losing part. But I mean, I think it was a little. I think that gives a little hope for what Seattle's going to look like. I think in the next couple of years, maybe. Yeah. But moving on, the next game, Peyton Manning 2.0, folks. What did I say from the beginning? This kid's special, man. I like Trevor Lawrence. He's undefeated on Saturdays, man. 31-30. Now, let me get into something here, folks, before we get into the juicy stuff. It was 27-0 in the first quarter of the game. Trevor Lawrence, he started off with 2 interceptions. The first being on the first drive off an RPO pattern. And it was probably the worst possible way you can start a game. I mean, it was ridiculous. I believe it was the opening drive, the interception occurred. And you already intercepted, and that crowd before the game was juiced. I mean, you could just feel the energy coming from the TV, basically. I mean, they were pumping it down there. But he throws an RPO interception, and it just kills the mood there. And then on fourth down, he throws a careless interception that I just was so confused of where he was throwing it. I mean, there was 3 different guys in the vicinity of the ball. I was just like, where are you throwing the ball here? And then, LA puts 10 points up on the board, and it's 10-0 at the it's actually, correction, 17-0 at the end of the first quarter. And I got to say, this was like really making me nervous because I chose the Jags, and I was just not prepared for, losing this game and possibly another one. But going into the second quarter, Herbert, he was consistent. I mean, this dude he was making some great throws. He was hitting the check. Eckler was able to establish the run game. The first drive, rushing touchdown for Eckler. And then Keenan Allen, an impressive start. He was making some big catches for first downs. He had 3 first down catches in a row. And then, they just made it a statement that they're not going to fool around here. They want to win. They just can't afford to lose this. They got to take advantage of it. A lot of people were underdogging them. They thought they're going to come out there. And the first half, they made a statement. So after the second quarter, it's 27-7 going into halftime. And Herbert he's thrown 1 touchdown pass. He's thrown for, I believe it was 150-something yards. And Lawrence has got 4 interceptions. I was terrified because my Manning 2.0 statement was about to make me look like a fool the next time me and KP recorded. But this is where it gets juicy. Second half, as a Chiefs fan, I know the Chargers are not a second-half team. It's just been proven for the past, 3 years now. It's been brutal to watch, but they're just not a second-half team. I don't know what happened, but the Jaguars able to turn it around. Lawrence has an unbelievable second half, 4 touchdown passes. The end of the game, 28 for 47, 288. And, there was some controversial calls. I believe Bosa threw his helmet. That ended in a penalty. There was a controversial call of what's Jags lineman offside. I don't know. We'll never know because the game's over. But I believe with that led to the game-winning field goal for Jacksonville. They tied off at 31-30. all said and done. But Trevor Lawrence, I don't know. I just love this kid, and I've been saying it now for a couple weeks. He's just got this dog mentality in him, and it's just when I was comparing him to Peyton Manning, second year, it took Peyton Manning till his 6th year to win a playoff game. 6th year to win a playoff game. For Lawrence, it's his second year in the league, second year, and he's already on the divisional round, and he's facing, quite frankly, the best team in the NFL right now. He's going to play my Chiefs, so that'll be an interesting game. But this kid has, I think he's a yes. Manning had the better team, but I think with what Jacksonville has right now, I think Lawrence is quite honestly a top 5 guy. He's in his second year. He's already moved on to the divisional round. Peyton Manning, again, like I said, didn't win a single playoff game until his 6th season in the NFL. And, Lawrence has better numbers in his second year. And, I'm just wondering how far they're going to take it. Now, I don't want them to take it past the Chiefs because they're not. But this kid, I think he's special, and I think he's building something special in Jacksonville. That's a great win for them, a great win for that organization. Chargers don't know what's going to happen to that coach. I know Lombardi was just fired recently from the Chargers. Don't know who they're going to hire as an offensive coordinator, but they need someone over there that understands Herbert, because the team that the Chargers have right now is honestly, it's a top 5 offensive team. Don't know what's going on over there in LA. I just don't. If they had a guy with offensive coordinator, they easily win that game. They don't put 3 points up in the second half. They win that game, I think, probably by 10 points plus. It's just coaching. Herbert just was only able to put 3 points up. They had a better OC. They win by 10 points. But, Manning 2.0, he pulls through for me. So.
Are you done?
Yep.
I did not think Trevor Lawrence played all that great that game, nor I don't know. He was the reason they were in that position by far. You can't throw 4 picks in the first half, and you won't usually get away with it. The probably 1 in 100 times it happens, he let it happen. It happened against the Chargers. Trevor went 28 through 47 for 288 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 picks. QBR of 31.6 and a completion rate of 59.6. Got him back in the position, but he dug his whole team in that hole, so it was only right that he got him out of it. But I don't know. He's a good quarterback, but I guess I'm just not sold on him. But I think Herbert's 100 times better than him. But
100?
Yeah, he's way better than him. It's not even close. The thing is that sucks is with kind of the Chargers is.
But
I just let you go for 4 minutes, and I did not let you talk, and I didn't talk once.
All right.
I let you give your spiel. I kind of gave you 5 to 6 minute spiel, and I just listened. But I don't know. I kind of see it all year. Herbert has this, Herbert and the Chargers, he doesn't put up the numbers where you're going to get those 5 touchdown games or those 4 touchdown games. And he kind of is, he's their first half team, they do really good. He went 25 of 43, 270 yards, a touchdown, and no picks. QBR of 45.9, completion rate of 58.1. So, he doesn't turn the ball over as much as people think. And he has Eckler that gets a lot of catches and touches, and he touches the ball in the red zone. So Eckler gets a lot of rushing touchdowns. But usually, I don't know, Herbert is such a good quarterback, but I feel like sometimes he just doesn't get the passing touchdown stats compared to other quarterbacks. And I just think, you can't lose a game. It's inexcusable to lose a game 27-0. But I almost felt like they got too comfortable while they're already up there thinking they're going to play the next team. And then halftime hits, I guess they did. They're like, well, we're not going to change anything. It's been working. The Jaguars changed everything they did and came back from that. So, I don't know. Props to the Jaguars. I hope Lawrence plays subpar and beats the Chiefs, so I don't have to hear Kellen complain about how Lawrence lit them up. But I hope they beat I hope the Jaguars beat the Chiefs for that retrospect, but they need to clear house in Los Angeles when it comes to coaching.
So you think Staley needs to go too?
My God, yeah.
I'm glad we're both on agreement with that, but yeah, that's the Jaguars game. So next is quite honestly the most confusing game to me, Buffalo and Miami. This game it drove me nuts. Buffalo should have won this game by 17 plus. This game should not have even been close. Don't know what's going on in Buffalo. I don't know why their defense is so overhyped. I don't get it. I really don't understand Buffalo. 34-31. This game, like I said, should not have been close. Allen, the turnover machine. I mean, my goodness. It was ridiculous. I think he had, what was it? I think it was 2 or 3 interceptions. He had 2 fumbles, not to mention one of them recovered for a touchdown. The Miami Dolphins scored 17 points off of turnovers. It's just ridiculous. And this is why I never have confidence when I choose the Buffalo Bills. And I want to. I want to have confidence, and I had confidence in them because Miami's so banged up. They barely snuck into the playoffs. Quite honestly, I thought the Steelers should have been there instead of Miami, but they just barely sneak in. This game should not have even been close. But again, the turnovers. This guy's a turnover machine. And, you know, he leads the NFL in the playoffs in turnovers. That is something you don't necessarily want to hear or, think of. But he leads the NFL in that. In his 7 playoff games he has played, he has fumbled the ball in every game. And that is something you can't do. He's gotten lucky a few times because he's just so dang good. But, 2 fumbles, not to mention 1 taken to the house against, a pretty good Miami team. But they scored 17 points off of turnovers. This game should have been not even close. Skylar Thompson, considering the situation he was put in, he was 18 for 45, 220 yards, 1 touchdown. He was doing what he needed to. Obviously, you could tell it was a playoff game. It's in Buffalo. It's freezing. They're from Miami. It's not going to be comfortable for him. But he did the stuff they needed to. But in the third quarter is when they just let it slip, went to hell. He threw an interception, and this is what really turned the game over. And then Buffalo just put 14 points up like that, and then you could just tell it was over. But quite honestly, at the end of the game, I think Buffalo, I think they got bailed out a little bit there because at that last call, it wasn't a first down, but they had no challenges, not enough evidence to change it. Buffalo slips away, but I'm just really not sold with Buffalo. It's the same thing every single year in this time of the year. They have this stuff, and then it's Josh Allen, turnover machine. That's what I'm calling him from now on. Having these mistakes, and it's like when you play the Bengals, you're going to pay. The Bengals are going to smoke you offensively if you give up these turnovers, but I don't know. I just thought it was a pretty shitty game.
All right, I have a question before I get into my spiel. Was Josh Allen a turnover machine when Patrick Mahomes got saved by the coin toss in that game?
That is a great question. No, but he did fumble twice in that game. So
fumbles you really can't even I don't even know. Fumbles are interceptions are way.
Well, in that game, in that divisional game where he had quite frankly the best game of his life, he fumbled off a snap and shotgun, and then another one since he's such a mobile QB, top running quarterback, in my opinion. It was a quarterback sneak. I remember this because I was at the game. He runs it up the middle. He's breaking off to the sideline, and then at the time, Trevarius Ward's still on the team. He just pops it right out. And though the coin flip, yes,
If the Bills get that ball, the Bills win it.
They win the game.
Just like the Chiefs. So that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, yes, but the turnover machine, it's crazy. His first ever playoff game against the Texans, he fumbled the ball backwards. How do you do that? I mean, that's when his first playoff game, when the year the Chiefs win the Super Bowl.
So
that lost him the game. The Texans would have not. I think the Bills would have won that Texans game if Buffalo, Josh Allen, did not flip the ball backwards. He's a turnover machine, and he's so good.
The turnover machine only has 2 more picks than Mahomes, but that makes him the turnover machine.
Yes.
2 more picks.
2 more picks.
But going on to my game, recap of the game. Allen, he played, I'd say out of 10, I'd give him a 6. He played all right. Went 23 of 39, 352 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. And the fumbles, had a horrible QBR of a 26.1, completion rate of 59. So, I mean, completion rate is the highest one we've talked about so far. But, I mean, you got to think he wasn't really going up. I mean, the Dolphins have all types of go-getters. They just didn't really have a quarterback because Thompson went 18 for 45, 220 yards, a touchdown, 2 picks, 22.6 QBR, and a 40% completion rate. But, I mean, it didn't really surprise me that it was a close game because the Bills play a lot of close games with their opponents, especially a rivalry division in-game opponent. So everyone was expecting the Dolphins to blow them out. But, I mean, if you look at how the Bills have played this year, I mean, they didn't really kill a whole lot of teams for real. Like, I mean, there were some games they had because everyone has those games. But, I mean, they usually keep it pretty close, and their defense is usually on or sometimes they're not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of my thing. But I think if the Bills want to win the game, they want to win against the Bengals, they need to get Joe Burrow to cough the ball up, and then they need to try to prevent turnovers as well.
I have a question for you. If Tua was able to play that game, you think Miami wins with the amount of turnovers that occurred?
I don't know, because Tua can turn the ball over a lot sometimes too.
That is also true. But so. I don't know. I feel like because Skylar Thompson, he also had 2 interceptions as well. If one of those, I feel like, was taken away and Tua was playing, you think he could maybe win? I mean...
Yeah, but you never know since Tua wasn't healthy, so...
Yeah. All right. So, next upset of the week. Giants. They beat Minnesota at Minnesota. This game I absolutely love because I chose the Giants. I just saw it in them. Like I said, run game was established. Defense made stops when they needed to. Danny Dimes did what he needed to do. And this week he went above and beyond. Daniel Jones, he went 24-35, 301, 2 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown. I will say I think this week, taking away Purdy and Dak, he was one of the top performers this week, QB-wise, from my perspective. You know, he did what he needed to do. He rushed for 78 yards. Put up 31 points, 17-14 at half. There was one drive, I was a little nervous because they kicked a field goal. They could have gotten a touchdown. It didn't happen. But I thought Danny Dimes did what he needed to do. He impressed me, really. He was hitting some throws that I didn't think he would make. He was rushing the ball so well. And for a 6'8" guy, he was hauling. He was hitting holes that I didn't think he would find. He was running well. Isaiah Hodgins, he had 8 catches for 105 yards, a touchdown. And then Saquon, he had a pretty good game as well. I think their defense did okay. I think like I said, they made stops when they needed to. But I think Daniel Jones, I think he impressed a lot of people this week. And I think that'll carry over towards the Eagles game. And I think that with that, if they carry that momentum, beating Minnesota, for the Eagles, I think they got a shot to win. But for Minnesota, Kirk, he didn't do that bad. He was 31 for 39, 273, 2 touchdowns. Pretty good numbers. It's just there was 2 drives that they couldn't convert, and it just makes me wonder. It's the same thing over and over with Kirk. He can't get it done, and he's not the guy. He's just not the guy that's going to get it done. And, it just makes me feel for Justin Jefferson, the best receiver in the league. And I wish he had a quarterback that could get some of it done in the playoffs. Dalvin Cook, he was 15 carries for 60 yards. And then T.J. Hawkinson was their top receiver that game for Minnesota. I was surprisingly, he had 10 catches for 129 yards. Like I said, if the Giants were able to stop Justin Jefferson, they're going to win the game. Jay Jettis only had 7 catches for 47 yards. So, like I said, the Giants, they did exactly what I said they needed to do. They'll win the game. They did. That's all I really got from the Vikings game. Just props to the Giants. Went up there, did their business. Now they're in the divisional against a rival. So we'll see what happens there.
I think saying that Kirk isn't the guy that they want, I think is kind of ridiculous. If you go look at his regular season stats, he's top 5 in touchdowns and top 5 in yards. He's in the top 10 percentile in QBR on the season. What about that does not show that he's not the guy?
Let me ask you a question. Do you want a guy that does okay in the season but does well in the do you want a guy that's not What did he
not do the other day? What did he not do against the Giants that wasn't good? So 31 to 39, 273 yards, 2 touchdowns, no turnovers, had the best QBR out of every single quarterback besides Dak Prescott, and had the best completion rate out of every single quarterback during the first Wildcard weekend. What's bad about that?
How many playoff wins does he have?
You can't blame everything on the quarterback. How many points? Yes, you just did. You just did. You just said You just simply said he's not the guy because they can't win the game. If the defense defense gave up 31 points to Daniel Jones.
Yes.
That can't. No. If you're trying to tell me Daniel Jones is better than Kirk Cousins, then that is a totally invalid reason.
It's not even. But he won.
Okay.
How many playoffs?
Look how. Okay. You just said it clearly. If the Giants can stop Justin Jefferson, they'll win. So they did, because their defense stood up. Not Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones went 24-35, 301 yards.
Correct.
Their defense was the reason they won the game.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings don't have a defense. They have the worst. You're proving my point. The defense and the offensive points compared to the defensive points per game, they were negative. They're the worst team when it comes to giving up points and putting up points together. There's no reason how Kirk should get hate for he had 8 incompletions the whole game.
I know. He has no playoff wins, and they had one of quite.
But if you're a playoff team, you cannot just be only offense. There's a reason why the Detroit Lions were not in the playoffs. They don't have a defense. Yes.
But
Vikings don't. Vikings.
I'm talking about.
And so am I. He did everything he can fucking possibly do for offense in that category. There's nothing more Kirk can do.
He has one playoff win.
And if you play football, you know there's 3 sides of football: special teams, defense, offense. So you think Kirk Cousins needs to have 5 touchdowns every single game for them to win the game?
No,
that's the way you're saying it. That makes
He's 1 in 4 in the playoffs.
Let's look. There has not had a defense with him the whole entire time. No, really hasn't. He has had a below defense every single time. Vikings have the worst defense out of the playoff teams that made it. Yes. Name me ball players on that Vikings team that are good. Point proven. I gave you 5 seconds and you can't name one. You just can't. I've given you it's over. It's over with. You've proved my point. Yes, I understand Kirk is 1-4. A football team that needs to win a playoff game is both sides. There's a reason why Seattle didn't play good against the Niners. They don't have a defense.
They don't have a defense.
And then their offense played against the best defense. There's a reason why Brock Purdy plays good, because he gets the ball because their defense gets turnovers. They help out the offense. The defense in Minnesota does not do anything to help Kirk Cousins. There's no help for him whatsoever. Yes, he's 1-4, Kirk gets that. Everyone gets. I don't see how you don't think. I just read off you every single stat that is on here on my paper notebook that has all the stats for quarterbacks of the wild card weekend, and Kirk Cousins was the second best quarterback.
That didn't win.
I mean, yeah, I could say that didn't win either.
All right, so can I ask a question?
If it's going to be stupid saying that Kirk isn't the guy, then I don't know.
No, I'm just going to ask a question. How well, this is for another game, but it's like based off of defense, how well do you think the Chargers defense was? We're not going to talk about the first half, because the first half was something that...
Why?
Great. 3 interceptions.
Why?
Because second half played that second half defense played exactly like the Vikings defense did the second half. And so does
that make Herbert? Does that make Herbert not the guy then? Because that's the way. The way your argument lines up, that should mean Herbert isn't the guy for the Chargers. That's exactly what you're saying for the Vikings and that. So you're saying Herbert isn't the guy and Kirk isn't the guy.
Do you think the Chargers defense? Because I'm talking about defense here, because we're off the Kirk thing now, and I'm talking about defense now. So do you think the Chargers defense is good?
Yes, when they're healthy, they're a really good defense.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know. All right.
They have Khalil Mack, they have Bosa, Derwin James, a good secondary. They have a good defense. I see how I just named superstars off of that team.
You did.
There's no any present there for the Vikings.
Not one?
No, Harrison Smith, where was he at? How'd he play? Patrick Peterson, washed up.
Not well.
There you go. It shows. Kirk puts up the numbers in the regular season. He puts up numbers in the playoffs, and he does not get any help whatsoever. It's as simple as it gets. And everything I just said backs it up 100%. There shouldn't even be an argument.
All right.
Yes, he lost, but that defense lost it for him. I don't even think the Vikings had didn't get any turnovers or barely any stops.
The Vikings, so they punted, I believe it was in the third quarter, they punted 2 times in a row. And then the Giants, they went 3 and out. It was at the beginning of the fourth quarter. The Giants punted. So Daniel Jones got sacked 2 times in a row, and it was 4th and 21. They punted. And then the Vikings go down. They punt. And then the Giants punt again. So the Vikings did a few times get some stops. And this is when it was a 7-point. This is still when it was a 7-point ball game. And Kirk Cousins throws a check down. This is a check down on third. I believe it was 3rd and 12. This is the drive to go tie the game. Kirk Cousins, and you won the argument just a second ago. This defense did not help him, but I mean a check down on 3rd down to go tie the game.
I mean, if no one's open in that aspect, so I mean you can't just be like, Justin Jefferson's been shadowed. He's got 2 on him. Hawkinson is starting to get attention. If the only guy's open there, it doesn't seem smart. But if that's the only guy that can do it, he makes a move and gets closer for a first down. You have to do what you have to do. But I guess to back up my defense thing even more before we move on to the next game.
Yep.
Do you know who Isaiah Hodgins is?
I do.
What college do you go to?
I don't know what college he goes to, but I've heard the name of. I don't know whatever.
So he went to Oregon. He went to Oregon State. Okay. This year he had 35 catches, 392 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Okay.
Against the Vikings, 8 catches, 105 yards, and a touchdown. Now I've never even heard of him before that.
You know what? I'll be honest. I haven't heard of him since the game when they announced his name. So
that's all I have to say for that game.
All right. What game do you want to do next?
You have 2 more. It's Bucks Cowboys or Bengals and Ravens.
Let's go with how about the Bengals? Let's go with the Bengals. So this game, to me was a defensive game. I did not really feel. I didn't feel great about the game, but I think it was pretty good to see that both defenses. It was a division game, so obviously we knew that it was going to be close, and I think the Ravens did a pretty good job of preparing for this. It came down to a last-second play that could have been caught in the end zone. It just right off the fingertips, but. For Cincinnati, I just have a few questions, and I think Burrow, he did okay. He didn't have the greatest game, but, he got stuff. He did what he needed. He was 23 for 32, 209, 1 touchdown. Could have done better. The offense just was not clicking on all cylinders for some reason, which is confusing. I thought usually they'd be I thought this game they were going to come out and they'd just be red hot, ready for the playoffs, considering. Would you consider, real quick, the Bengals as one of the hottest teams in the playoffs right now?
Yeah.
All right. So I thought, considering that, they would just come out and I thought they would lay the hammer on the Ravens, considering that, Lamar, he's at home. He didn't even travel with the team. Tyler Huntley was starting at quarterback, and it was just pretty quiet. But I will give props to Tyler Huntley. I thought he played a pretty well game, considering he wasn't even brought up to, I don't even know, considered a play like that. I mean, he did pretty well, 17, 29, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns. There was some moments where you could tell the Ravens just weren't, ready offensively to, with this quarterback. They had a week prepare for this, but I just don't know what happened, really, because there was a drive where they were going to tie the game. Actually, no, take the lead. And all of a sudden, QB sneak, Huntley fumbles, and what was it, Hubbard? Who was it, Hubbard, that took it to the house for 98 yards? Yeah, hometown hero, takes it to the house. Like I said, it was a defensive game. Nothing really stood out amazingly offensively. Besides, I think Jamar Chase had a pretty good game. He had a touchdown, 9 receptions for 84 yards, but that's just something that's a standard. We're used to seeing Jamar perform well, especially now in the playoffs, considering it's only his second year. But I think if the Bengals play defense the way they did against the Ravens, now taking into consideration Tyler Huntley was quarterback, he's not Josh Allen, so this is a very, very not a good comparison. But I feel like if they play defensively like they did in the red zone against Buffalo, I think they have a shot to win. But offensively, Joe and the offense, they need to probably kick it up a notch because they were pretty quiet against to be fair, Ravens have a very good defense who did very, very well. But I think if the Bengals want to win against Buffalo at Buffalo, they need to kick it up a notch. But that's all I've really got for that game. I wasn't really too impressed with it, but, the Bengals won, so obviously I was because that's who I chose to win. But, KP?
If you're a Bengals fan at home, or if you like the Bengals fan, that was pitiful to watch. I kind of regret picking the Bengals against the Bills. Just how I saw it. Because Bengals and Bills both had a really bad game, and they still found a way to win.
What makes you doubt? I just want to know.
I mean...
what makes you, feel worried about your pick for the Bengals? I just want to know.
The Ravens' defense is all right. I think the Bills' defense is way better than the Ravens, and he didn't do that good against them. But that game should not be. I don't care if you're a division. I don't even know. You can't. I mean, you know how to. It's like, it's a way worse version of Lamar. He's not. I mean, he's going to be able to run. Yes, so you know the game plan to stop the run with Huntley.
Mm-hmm.
That should not be a one-score game. Huntley played good he played a really damn good for a backup quarterback.
Yeah,
in a playoff situation. He went 17-29, like you said, 226, 2 touchdowns, interception, fumble. Just slipped his hand. QBR 74, and then his percentage rate was 59%. Yeah, not bad. Against a hot Bengals team on the road. But if you're Joe Burrow,
if you're Joe Burrow, real quick, you got to be worried. He got sacked 5 times, and his 60% of his offensive line is out, and you're going to Buffalo.
He had a QBR of 43.7, really high completion rate. He only missed, I want to say, 9 passes. But, I mean, you're not winning against the Bills if you're putting up 1 touchdown. So, I don't know. I think that was a pretty piss poor. They won the game, yeah, but I don't know. I think
that's something to be proud of, I would say.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's a playoff win. You can be proud of a playoff win, but
they're going to have a wake-up call. I don't know if it's going to be in Buffalo or what they're doing it, flipping a coin or whatever, since they're playing against each other and they have the same record, but I don't know. I'm not impressed by the Bengals there at all, and I picked them, so I kind of regret that. But
real quick. Oh, wait. I was going to ask, Lamar. What's going to happen to Lamar?
If Lamar's there, they win that game by 10. Ravens.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying. Like, if they have Lamar, I think he can run the ball. So half of the times, Tyler would not run. He would just force passes that weren't there. That's first downs. They're free first downs for Lamar.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I feel like the Ravens should franchise tag him. So, I mean, he'll be guaranteed
He's not taking a franchise tag. He already said if he gets a franchise tag, he's sitting out the year.
Yeah, I just don't know who's going to want him.
Everyone will want him.
I know that this will never happen, but if the 49ers had Lamar Jackson, that's just...
I don't even know why you bring that up.
No, I'm just saying. I just literally said I know it'll never happen.
Yeah, so then there's no point of even bringing it up. He's going to go to a big-time team. Probably going to go... I feel like he's going to go to the Jets or something.
Yeah.
He's going to go to the Jets or the Raiders. Those are 2 teams with high market that want it.
Mm-hmm.
But
all right, final game, Cowboys-Bucks, right? Yep, Cowboys-Bucks.
Worst game of
me and
the
KP. Yep, me and KP both lost this one, unfortunately, because I thought it was quite a shocker. Because I was not expecting Dallas to perform the way they did, considering the week before they had probably one of the shittiest performances I've seen in a while, especially for Dak. But Dak turned it on this game. I don't know what happened, what they did in practice, but Dak was 25 for 33, 305 passing yards, 4 touchdowns passing. He had a rushing touchdown. It was similar to a Peyton Manning bootleg he did way back in the days, but scored on that. Their offense clicked. Pollard had 15 carries for 77 yards, and then Dalton Schultz had 2 touchdowns. 77 catches for 95 yards. What lost Tampa Bay this game? They don't have a run game whatsoever. Tom Brady's a pocket passer. He's not mobile whatsoever. Tampa Bay their O-line is kind of sticks and stones. They had 2 Pro Bowl dudes retire last year, and then not to mention their left guard was out this game, so it's like that doesn't even help the fact that whatsoever that Tom Brady's going to do any better. But Tom threw the ball 66 times. This shows that they're not a run team. They can't run the ball. He was 35 for 66, 351, 2 touchdowns. He threw probably one of the dumbest interceptions I've seen, considering him. Never would expect him to do that. They're in the red zone. He just tosses it up in the back of the end zone, tries to throw it away. I would have thought he thought the end zone was a little farther, but that another careless mistake that just led to Dallas scoring again. I mean, there really wasn't much rushing yards. The lead rusher had 41 yards, 7 carries. Rashad White and Godwin had 10 catches for 85. But, I think this Tampa Bay team, and they're over their cap space right now. I just saw that earlier today. They are way over their cap space right now, and I don't know what's going to happen for them. I really don't know how they're going to do next year. Tom Brady, no clue where he's going to. I personally think the best fit for him is New England again if he's choosing to continue to play. They got a pretty good O-line up there. They got a solid defense, and Tom Brady said, I want a team that's got a solid O-line, good defense, and a team I can control and win a Super Bowl. with. But I don't know. That's a little too much to ask for. But, I just don't. I think Tom should hang it up. I think he just needs to go. I mean, after that, you would have figured he would have just retired after the Super Bowl. But, nope. Dallas is moving on to play the 49ers. That is a pretty interesting. Is that a big rivalry game? I know they've had lots of beef in the past.
Like past like playoff experience,
because I know Terrell Owens. It was something where he was dancing on the star or whatever and stuff like that.
I mean,
there's gonna be a little.
It's a post. I mean, they're very rich franchises when it comes to success.
Yeah,
so
but
all the old heads and all of the people who are diehard football fans, that place is going to be packed.
It was a blowout. I mean, Tampa Bay didn't start scoring. They didn't score a single point until the second half. So, yeah. And then not to mention Dallas, their kicker, 4 missed extra points. He was the first kicker since 1927 in 16,147 NFL games. The span of that to miss until now. He's the first player since then to miss 4 extra points. But earlier today, Adam Schefter posted that Dallas will be starting him this week. So I'm interested to see is him having a bad game means Dak's going to have a good game. And then if he has a good game, is Dak going to play play bad? Don't know. But and that's what I got for that game. I mean, it was a shit show on the Bucs' part. And Dak advantage.
To wrap up the video, Brady's gone, and the Cowboys look pretty damn elite. And I hate saying that, but I think they're going to give the Niners actually a really good game if they play like this and the defense plays like their top 3 defense will. Brady, Brady's QBR was like, I think a 24 completion rate.
Was it really that low?
Completion rate 53. I mean, he threw the ball 66 times. Like you said, they don't have a run. I don't know. I think he'll go like kind of like Lamar, wherever. Or he should just hang him up, but I think he'll go to Vegas.
Vegas? Well.
With Devontae. But I'm not going to take away credit from Dak. He was the best quarterback in the first round of the playoffs. 25 or 33, 305 yards, 5 total touchdowns, did not turn the ball over. That's what you want from a playoff quarterback and a playoff team. If you don't turn the ball over, you're probably going to win the game. And it's as simple as that. He had a 96.8 QBR and a 75% completion rate. He was the best quarterback. The Cowboys destroyed. I'd say I was thinking Bengals-Bills game I'm really excited for, but I'm just as excited for, I think, as this Cowboys-Niners game because you have 2 hot teams coming off of big blowout games. I think this is actually going to be one of the big games, so I'm actually kind of glad it is the
That's going to be a high-scoring game.
Night game as well. I don't know if it will be or not because they're both 1 and 2 best defenses.
I hope it will be.
I like defensive showdowns though too, but that's all I got, and I think that's all you got for kind of the overview of our games.
That's all I got, really. I'm just curious to see is Dak going to perform well again?
Yeah, I don't know. He's inconsistent sometimes, but when he's consistent, he's on. But, I think that's episode 10, boys. A little bit of a longer one. I know Calvin doesn't like the longer ones, but I can ramble on forever. As always, we've been slow on Instagram and TikTok, but also just keep on doing that. We're going to get around to it. Me and Calvin got busy schedules with school and everything, so we're trying to bust out content for you. Pause. But if you guys like it, just keep on liking, keep on sharing, and keep on subscribing. That's why we do it, is to get it out to you guys, and we like doing this stuff. But I think that's all we got for episode 10. And hopefully by then, next time we guys see you, we'll be talking about what's going to be the championships for AFC and NFC.
All right.
It's your boy KP&KT. Peace.
Peace.